Your call once more, we rally alma mater, hear our praise. Where the wall that spreads its valley filled with joy, our voices raise. From the skies in swell.
Hi there, Purdue. This is Group 14 of Dr. Wegner's section of English 420, and we're very excited to present a general plan that we think can go a long way to helping to improve Purdue's accessibility for students with sensory disabilities. As you'll read in our report, we have a starting list of potential spending recommendations that can help contribute to our overall vision, but we're advocating for something that isn't just some funding reallocation. We're advocating for a difference in the philosophy with which Purdue makes accommodations for students with sensory disabilities, whether they be students or staff who are deaf or hard of hearing or blind or who have difficulty seeing. In this video, we'll explore some of the rationale behind our plan more in depth and in a more personal manner, and conclude by helping you to be a bit more aware of some of our deliverables documents that you'll see in our final submission. Accommodations in the university tend to take on two primary different forms, those that are openly available by default for anybody on campus, and those that a student has to request for themselves. We found that requesting accommodations can be marred by the same sense of bureaucracy and red tape that's ubiquitous in an institution the size of Purdue. So let's start by modeling what that tends to look like. This UML diagram models the requesting process in a very basic sense. It starts with the student making and filing an accommodation request form where they write several paragraphs describing their condition and submitting documentation and evidence of their diagnosis. An access consultant working for the DRC reads this form and then comes up with a list of reasonable accommodations within the university's resources and consults a Purdue legal counselor to ensure that accommodations maintain ADA compliance. Finally, they compile it into a list in a course accessibility letter, which the student then provides to faculty and professors, who ultimately either create the accommodation themselves or permit the use of a pre-existing accommodation. So overall, this process is incredibly slow, with multiple points of contact and points of failure just to service one specific case. But an open format simplifies that process down to exactly one point of contact, requiring the student to simply interact with accommodations that are integrated naturally into their experience of campus. Imagine you're a student with hearing problems sitting at the back of a class on your first day. You haven't had time to fill out an accommodation request for an interpreter, and you're beginning to panic that you can't hear the professor deliver important course information. And then you see it, a large sign notifying you of the classroom's hearing loop, which you can tune your T-coil to and hear the professor at last. T-coils are an open standard in virtually every lecture hall on campus. They're available for use without delay or frustration. The university's goal with accommodations is to make the experience with a disability comparable to that of an experience without one, and the immediacy and standardization of accommodations like these make them do a much better job of fulfilling that commitment. That's the design philosophy around which our team has designed its solutions. Improve the baseline quantity and quality of open accommodations in order to reduce the need for handling special cases, which can be both frustrating and slow from the user's perspective and expensive and inconsistent from the university's perspective. That's what drove us to recommend solutions like Talking LabQuest, Balaboka, and Nuance Dragon. These items fulfill enough of a niche in the classroom that the university should consider implementing them as open standards on campus. In our report, we named just an introductory round of the best and most cost-efficient technologies we could find for our standardization across campus. Taking undue burden considerations into account, our report also includes a cost breakdown of these suggestions. Finally, this change in philosophy also provides a new and unique opportunity for the DRC to market itself as a platform for 21st century innovation. So we designed various kits and communications documents that can help the university to market that change. You'll find this and more in our final report, which we'll be pushing out to key decision makers throughout the university. We hope solutions like these do a better job of fostering a community of inclusion and innovation here at Purdue. Boiler up.